G'day guys, Disney Dave coming at you once again from Down Under. Welcome to another installment of Behind the Classics. Today we are taking a look at the 16th film in the Walt Disney Animation Classic canon. It's a film that was one of Walt Disney's most ambitious productions ever, and the one that would go on to become the film with the longest production period in Disney history. Drawn in its own unique style and released in 1959, it is of course Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty. It was the picture that was supposed to be Disney's Magnum Opus. In his own words, our most ambitious cartoon feature to date, with moving illustration, the ultimate in animation. But it was one which had an incredibly tumultuous production, spurred on by both Disney's own lack of supervision and the animators' resistance to draw in a new style. For the film, Disney employed the talents of Renaissance artist Ivan Earle to come up with a unique, heavily stylized production design, which in Walt's eyes would distance the film from his previous productions, making it grander and more cinematic. Up until this point, the Disney Studios art design adopted the more circular and three-dimensional style of 19th century European storybook illustration. But for Sleeping Beauty, Walt wanted something different. Inspired by pre-Renaissance European art, Earle designed a whole new world, making use of flatter, less realistic images with a more angular design. Earle's design was described as cold and emotionless by some working on the film. Animator Ward Kimball referred to it as a style of over-designing. And animator Ken Anderson would later say, "I had to fight myself to make myself draw that way." Renaissance artist Mark Davis, who specialised in animating female characters, was assigned as directing animator on the film. For Sleeping Beauty, Davis had the challenge of keeping his characters in the same style as Earle's background art. Davis had to, for the first time ever, develop characters with more angular and vertical design. Yet, as they had with previous films, Davis and his animation team still used live-action models as an aid in animating the characters as realistically as possible. Because he had become distracted by his television and live-action productions, and most tirelessly the construction of Disneyland, Disney lost interest in the film, slowly but surely becoming less involved with its production, less so than any other film previously. In his own words, Disney said, "I sorta got trapped. I had passed the point of no return and had to go forward with it." Because of this, the end product lacked his charm, humility, and that trademark Disney spark. Film production was stopped and started multiple times. 3 units of animation were moved to the television department, and other animators were moved backwards and forwards between working on the film and working on designs for the Disneyland park. Disneyland would open in 1955, 4 years before the premiere of Sleeping Beauty, yet featured the film's castle at the centre point of the park. A great example of Walt's tenacity in film marketing and cross-platform promotion. When the movie did eventually open, 8 years after it had commenced production, the longest production period in Disney history, the movie was not a success, financially or critically. The studio's distribution arm, Buena Vista, lost $900,000 US. In 2017, that's the equivalent of $7.5 million US adjusted for inflation. This led to the studio's first annual loss in a decade. Disney sadly was incredibly disappointed in the final product of the film, which was to be his masterpiece to end all masterpieces. Though not successful on first release, the film did go on to become an undisputed Disney classic upon further re-releases, even inspiring the live-action film Maleficent. And though the style of the artwork was looked upon as unfavourable at first, it went on to inspire a new style of Disney art that would influence Disney animations upwards of 2 decades later. The technological advancements that came with Sleeping Beauty cannot be overlooked either, with Disney's continued pioneering of the multiplane camera being the least impressive. It was not only the second animated feature to be presented in widescreen, next to only Disney's own Lady and the Tramp, but was the first to be photographed in a widescreen 70mm Super Technorama format, which in itself gave the film a visually different, more cinematic look. Sleeping Beauty was also the last animated Disney feature to make use of hand-inked cells, leading the animation department to experiment with more colours and more inking techniques than ever before. After the production of Sleeping Beauty, the Disney studio would commence producing their animated features using xerography. My love for Sleeping Beauty actually comes from the feature's daring design and animation style. As Walt had hoped, the picture's visual design truly does stand above the rest, as an individual masterpiece. While we can appreciate many Disney animations for their wonderful characters and stories, this movie honestly lacked those two elements, due to the large push for artistic brilliance over narrative structure. However, Sleeping Beauty can be appreciated as one of the most artistically brilliant films in the Disney canon. And as a lover of classical music, I cannot overlook the film's incredibly gorgeous score, which George Bruns lovingly adapted from Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty ballet, one of my favourite ballets by one of my favourite composers. And at that, it's one of my most favourite scores of any Disney movie. And of course, Sammy Fain and Jack Lawrence's lyrics added to the ballet's Garland Waltz is a personal favourite Disney song. The song was, just as Disney's high hopes for the film, Once Upon a Dream. Thank you for joining me for this installment of Behind the Classics. If you've enjoyed this mini documentation and would like to join me for future installments, to make sure you keep up to date, please, after the jump, hit subscribe. Thank you once again for watching, and to absolutely everybody out there, I hope you have a magical day.